we can start the meeting. This is the October 15th meeting of the Upton Community Preservation Committee. We have a quorum present, either here in person or online. So I think we can start with the agenda. The first thing is to approve previous minutes. We have minutes from October 1st. Or any circulated week ago. Is there any comments on those minutes? No. A motion to approve them?
I moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Mike Penko.
God, I.
Brittany.
I wasn't there. Do I have to abstain or can I just vote aye?
You could abstain. That's
Okay.
thank you. Catherine.
I.
Abstain, aye.
Rick.
Aye.
Okay. Approved by majority present. Okay.
John. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fine,
I'm
John.
sorry, John. I apologize. That was an aye. But well, actually, you weren't on that. No, you.
Yeah,
you
yep, he was here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is approved expense. If I think one voucher,
We have two. The second one just came in today, but not sure if it's been approved by David Connors. Both for the Pratt and Mill Pond quality. And the total is 20,063.
I did email Dave, this did, yours that came in today, there's two, there's 5,063, Dave has already said that was fine, but we don't have Dave is the chair of the Lexington Hospital. We don't have a reply for him yet on the 15,000 one. But I would ask that, these be approved pending, Chair of Lakes and Ponds Committee, approval of both vouchers, or both invoices. And just, give you an update a little later, but the contract beginning to provide sections of the report. For Pratt Pond and Mill. Do I have a motion to approve voucher?
Make a motion to approve the voucher paying both invoices contingent upon Lakes and Ponds Committee approval of the 15K.
Is there a second?
Mr. Friendlyman and the chair, we only need the chairs. Not okay.
No, but I think our policy is if it's more than $500, you do ask the committee. Chair's authorized to pay invoice vouchers.
Okay. Withdraw.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Voice vote, Mike, aye. Chris,
Is that I?
Brittany,
Aye.
Catherine,
I.
Chris.
Aye.
Rick.
Aye.
Next time. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we're close to 7:03. Couple minutes for the hearing is scheduled. So I can give a quick update on a funded project. Like I mentioned a minute ago, the Pratt Mill Pond management plan is being drafted by the consultant TRC. I think we maybe we've got the existing conditions sections in draft, describing the resources and water quality and other things. The committee is reviewing those documents and probably going to have some comments on to the contractor. Robertson Trail Bridge, bit of a sad story. We did receive 3 bids for that trail. The low bid was 155,000. That was about $40,000 more than we had funding. So the Conservation Commission voted to not to award the contract, and we're kind of going to circle back and try to figure out, what to do. Possibly ask for more funds, possibly redesign the bridge, so be less expensive. The whole thing's kind of unfortunate. We had a contractor gave us a, initial cost estimate for the bridge was around 80,000, and then, second cost estimate was 110. And, the low bid came in at 155. We're not in development, but the consensus of the commission was not to give up on this project. So that, is 7:05, and, Lauren, could you please read the, public notice for the townhouse renovation project?
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Community Preservation Act that the Upton Community Preservation Committee will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 15th, to consider the following requests for funding for the Community Preservation Act revenues. To see if the CBC will vote to raise and appropriate from available funds to fund a portion of the sum of $3,390,000 for the construction, renovation, and preservation of the historic Upton Town Hall building and all costs incidental and related thereto.
Thank you. Dennis, would like to present?
Sure. I do have all the pictures and everything I provided the selectmen last night, but I'm not that crafty. If you notice, I had Chris Karen next to me putting it up for me. So if the committee really wants me to put it up, I will. Otherwise, I'll bring us through the estimate from Weston and Sampson. So just to back up a little bit, the building had renovations done previously to the tune of about $5.5 or $6 million. I don't know the exact year. Do you recall the exact year we did town hall?
It was probably around 2015.
That's what I was guessing.
Well,
14.
the 2013 town meeting was the one that funded it. That probably took a year or two to get.
We just paid off the bond on that a couple of years ago.
No, it's still there.
That's still there.
If there's not a lot, there's not a lot left, but it's still there.
I think it goes to 34.
Oh, okay.
And that was the envelope, which they called the outside, the exterior of the building, and then they did renovations inside the building. When one thing they didn't do in that renovation was the roof. The roof was actually done in 2000. So the roof is an architectural asphalt shingle on this building, and it is 25 years old. It just happens to be a 25-year architectural asphalt shingle. Go figure. So last winter, we had a storm that came in with a westerly drive behind it, a heavy rain, and we don't usually get them that way. It was an odd direction for the storm to come in. And it flooded out this whole side of the building from the attic to the basement. So all these offices got water. The Board of Health got water, and the veterans, all the way down to the custodial supply in the back room on the floor, and then above us, and all of the offices, and then the top floor. Everybody got water on that wall. So we filed a claim with the insurance company, and the insurance came in, the adjuster, to inspect it, and they hired a professional company to come in and take a look at the exterior of the building, specifically the roof line, because they figured since it's all 3 floors, encompasses all 3 floors, most likely your water intrusions up top are coming down, which was partially correct. It was actually all 3 floors that were getting water. What they found was some deficiencies in the snow and ice shield along the gutter line, the drip edge, and some deterioration in the shingles that were unsettling, and to the point where they said, you really need to have an expert come in and take a look at this roof. In addition to that, they found issues with the pointing of the brickwork on the exterior. Specifically, the mortar work has worn over the years to the point where there are places where you can stick your finger in, actually into the brick. That's how bad it's gotten. And there was another telltale sign, which is in some of the pictures I showed the boards last night. There is, in some places, especially when you're leaving, if you look at the brick on the walls as you're headed out, you'll see the white coming through, and that's salt. And that's indicative of moisture that has gotten behind the brick and mortar, in between the wood structure and the facade, and it is pushing as it permeates and goes back and forth. It draws the salt out of the mortar and the brick.
The mortar that you were talking about originally to the exterior, was that part of the 2015 restoration?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
They did repointing, but they didn't seal anything. which was odd. Anytime you have a wood structure with brick and mortar on the outside,
Yeah.
it creates a vacuum in between the void. So the brick and mortar acts like a sponge, wants to draw moisture in. And the only way you can talk it out of it is sealing it.
Yeah.
And I at my own house, I have a very lovely brick fireplace, and I have a brick chimney with 3 flues. And every 15 years, I have a company come out and spray and seal that along with the whole front of my house, which is brick, for that very reason, because that will happen. All the buildings I've been familiar with throughout my career that have had brick and mortar and a wood frame have had their brick and mortar sealed. 12 to 15 years generally, you do it. So when the insurance company paid for the damages inside, they recommended that we get an expert involved because this was going to be more involved. In addition to, this is on the historical register of this building. So anything that we do to this building, specifically to the outside, or even drilling a hole in the sill, requires an architect stamp and submittal to the state historical and their approval. So there was a subsequent meeting at town meeting, I think it was the last one we went to, I don't recall. They asked for $35,000 to have Weston and Sampson come in and do an envelope study of the entire building and take a look at it. And they found much more than I anticipated they were going to find. They found the issues with the roof, and they were clear. And a lot of the issues with the roof is with the flashing itself. So we have a lead tin flashing here. It's designed to be pliable so that you fold it out and you fold it over itself, and it goes along between the asphalt roof coming down and the brick facade coming up. You'll see these coming up in staggers. What you shouldn't see is seams, because they're supposed to be folded over themselves. These have seams, they were cut, so they were not installed correctly back then. The roof is lived past its useful life. The snow and ice shield is compromised. There is definitely some damage along the wood trim in many of the areas. That's going to have to be addressed when we do the roof. And in addition to that, you have the brick and mortar work on the entire building. And then there are a lot of pictures that show indications of some of the glazing around some of the decorative windows in the gym has pulled off. Moisture has gotten underneath that, starting to bubble up the concrete underneath it. That needs to be repaired. Finally, if you go all the way to the basement, one of the pictures I have on here shows water intrusion in the custodial closet all the way down in that corner in the back. And that's coming right through the foundation. And that was from one of the pictures outside. Underneath the last granite sill, that's probably 3 or 4 feet above the grass line, on the road that goes up on the side of the town hall, there's the old stone foundation still there. If it ever had concrete and mortar around it, it doesn't now. In addition to, there's no protective barrier around it to stop water from going to it. It's not even pitched correctly. So it's just inviting water right in, and that's one of the problems. So when Weston and Sampson got done, they said, look, Dennis, we can give you numbers for town meeting because we know you're under the gun to get this done. But even after this is approved, we're going to bring a company in and infrared the whole inside of the building, simply because you have a brick exterior and you have a wood structure inside. There's too many hiding places for moisture to harbor mildew and mold, and we won't be able to see it unless we either A, open walls, or B, we use technology. So they're going to hire a sub company to come in and actually infrared the entire building so they can make sure we don't miss anything. So they broke it down as such. You're looking at $725,000 worth of roofing repairs. This includes stripping the entire roof, replacing any damaged wood that's up there, all of the drip edge, all new snow and ice shields, all of the siding that needs to be redone, and anything that needs to be fabricated to replicate its original design, or if it can be maintained as is. This also includes the gutters. All the gutters are going to be redone, and the snow and ice system that we have up there will be replaced. It's at its useful life. Like I said, the roof is 25 years old. The foundation repairs and underground water filtration is $175,000. And all of the pointing of the brick, the remortaring, and all of the sealing of the facade is $685,000. And then on cost of, there's the sealing of the brick, painting, carpentry, staging, all of the other costs associated with it is another 275. So when you add in all of the costs, including escalation, this could take a year, depending on the contractor when they start. They estimated, and I believe it's a very modest estimate. In other words, it's going to come in under this, but that's the way you want it. It came in at 3,390,000 even. And I provided a copy of that estimate to the commission. Speaking with the finance director, he has recommended that we utilize, first of all, in his professional opinion, all of this work is covered. It's not maintenance. It's like, it's the difference between having your boiler serviced and having your boiler replaced. Having your boiler serviced is maintenance. Having your boiler replaced, that would fall under CPC. So all of this he considers to be eligible for CPC, but we're not going to guess. We have already reached out to MTC Town Council to ask them, to review all of the work, proposed work, make sure that all of it falls within the purview of this committee. Kenny has suggested that we borrow as we have in the past, and CPC support the note, the annual note, and he gave an estimate of 275, I think it was. Do you have that?
What I have written here is 254.
He said last night, I thought he was 75.
It depends on the interest rate.
Yeah.
Things like that, whatever you use, but,
Is that per year?
That's
for the year for 20 years.
20.
Yeah,
So if we were doing that, we already have the schools, that's 345. The schools, we have 100.
Right.
For 20 years, right?
Right,
So we've already
right.
obligated.
That's correct, and then it follows around 275, 280 a year. So we can, well, I guess before we get too much in that, Dennis, do you have any?
no, and most of it can be just questions. I think everybody's probably pretty familiar with Town Hall. I can tell you that it's deceiving when you walk around the building. It looks beautiful, but when you look at the pictures close up from the engineers and you see everything bubbling up from underneath and coming through, you realize that there's a smoking gun here, and it's bad and needs to be fixed without a doubt.
Is the infrared process at all likely to turn up?
They have anticipated that in here. They're looking for corners. They don't think you're gonna infrared that wall and find a problem. However, they think that some of the things they don't see in the corner of the buildings that could be harboring something that we need to open up and correct, could be there. They've anticipated the likelihood that it's there. They need confirmation, otherwise they would waste money to open a wall otherwise.
Right.
And with some of the plumbing issues that we've had in this building as well,
Yes,
right? You pointed to this wall, well, it very well could be something with this wall based on,
from the
From-
restroom.
from restrooms, yeah,
Um,
sorry.
I just had a couple quick questions. So how much, the first one's here, how much, do we tend to get from the state, for the undesignated pool per year?
Well,
How much did we get last year?
Lauren, it was one of the
Yeah.
attachments of my email. And roughly the entire, I think the last couple of years, we've been around 800 to 900,000. The entire, including the town's portion.
Plus it's 809 to 900,000, does that include the designated? Is that the total?
The total revenue.
Okay.
Now, and Lauren will probably correct me, Susan, but I think oh, thank you. Paper.
Okay, so I'm trying to stuff up. I said Lauren's gonna have packages.
Okay. So just the last couple of years, the two total revenue was 964 and 836. And so it varies somewhat. Now, the local surcharge, which is what we can bond against. We can only bond against the local surcharge. We can't bond against the state. Was 579 and 608 those 2 years, so about 600,000. And I think, just doing roughly between the town hall bond and potential bond for the repairs, we pretty much wiped out our ability to do any other bonding until the original town hall bond is retired.
Mhm.
And we're also basically
Yeah.
eating up any growth. You know, we tend to dip into the undesignated fund to, fund other projects.
Miscellaneous.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Parks and Rec or open space or affordable housing. So we won't be adding to that undesignated pool for, or just a couple $100,000 a year with these obligations. So we're not dipping into this. If we're doing this for a 10-year period, we're not dipping into what's already there. But in the future, we won't be growing it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's right, until the tax base may grow,
yeah.
inflation. And,
Yeah.
well, it's interesting, if you look at that, the
It's up now too.
the yearly, how much the income did, or the revenue did increase since 2004, which was the first year.
And then Dennis, questions for you. This is going to be, there seems to be a real urgency to this. Is this going to be on this town meeting, the spring town meeting?
This is on this town.
Okay, good. And is there going to be any, and when do you, ideally, if town meeting approves it, when would you be able to,
It'll be probably a mid to late winter bid
okay,
with an immediate award right after, and hopefully they shovel in the ground, early. I say shovel in the ground, it'll be nail on the roof, early spring.
okay. And they can do all the engineering before then?
They can.
Okay,
The hiccup with this is it's gonna take a little bit of time because it's doing the entire envelope of the building.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen, town hall is open 52 weeks out of the year, so there's gonna be scaffolding and staging out there that we have to make sure we ensure residents can get in and out of the building safely during that time. That will be one of the challenges we face. And it's gonna be there for them, at least the summer, you're gonna see it.
and for the sequencing, you start with the roof or you start with the?
That would be a question for the engineer. I would assume they would start up and come down.
And finally, when are they gonna be starting work on the reconstruction of 140? This is gonna be done before that
2028.
starts, okay. So we can get stuff,
Yeah, we're ahead of them.
Yeah.
By far.
okay.
They recently moved the TIP project. They ran into a funding snafu, so it went from 2026 shovel ready to 2028 shovel ready.
I'm not crying.
Don't be surprised if it doesn't move again.
Yeah, this is, I'm not crying.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee at this time?
So that number is just based on the 3,390,000,
Yes,
right? Not the 6.5.
6.5, you lost.
I don't know, there was another attachment that had something with Article 9 on it.
I don't think that was.
Oh, sorry, that's what the age was. Never mind.
Scared me for a
My
minute.
bad.
Maybe I was typing in my sleep.
Well, you probably.
Ain't it fun being interim town manager?
Fantastic. Another one of my brilliant ideas.
What is sleep? What is sleep? It's a concept.
So, I have just one question, it'll be interesting to see if, there aren't any items that, aren't, rehabilitation, restoration, maintenance. The one that's kind of, I wonder, it's probably not a very big ticket item, but it's glazing of the windows. Was that done?
I think that was part of the original.
Yeah.
And the glazing, but the glazing is pulled off now, so now it's not a maintenance thing, it's a repair thing. You gotta strip it all out and the windows are, if you recall, you probably remember, Mike, from the first go around with this, the windows were kind of patchy with, I think the state had a lot to say about what we couldn't do with windows.
Historically, and I mean, just in general, I mean, do you expect glazing to fail in such a time? And that, if the answer is no, then it would make me think it's a defect.
So it's like everything else, nothing is ever cut and dry or that simple. I don't expect glazing to fail when it's properly installed and it's installed in the right location. However, if moisture gets behind anything, so if it finds another way to get behind that glazing, it's gonna make me fail. So if it comes in above it and gets behind it and comes down it, it's gonna bubble it out.
And there's no recourse from the town to recoup any of this money from, because it seems like a lot of the stuff we're dealing with,
So
substandard, you know, like the roof, you know, not specs if it was seamed instead of a continuous, and, you know, not seal, I don't know if the ceiling was part of the bid documents we put out, but if they didn't seal it, if they,
I'm surprised they didn't see that. Really,
yeah,
that blew my mind that the building didn't receive that. It's not a new technology. It's something that's been around.
was that in the bid
It
specification?
was
Oh,
not.
it was not, okay.
It's very odd that that didn't happen. So Vertex was the OPM for this building, and they are the OPM for the DPW. So I have the luxury of having their ear, whether they like it or not. And I have been using that luxury. And they have gone through their records to take a look. There's no recourse for, definitely for the roof. It's 25 years old.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to do anything about the
Yeah.
roof. Should we have done something with the roof sooner? And maybe some of that moisture exasperated some of the problems or made them, speed up, or I don't know. It's hard to say. But you would think that, I would say more of this. It doesn't look like it was faulty work from what I can see, my layman's point of view, on the envelope of the building. But I'm suspect that some things did not get considered, like sealing the brick. Also, it doesn't appear as though they repointed the whole building. They only repointed portions of it. If I was to guess, it's always a money thing. So they said, look, some of these bricks that don't face the sun and they don't get a lot of weathering and they're in really good shape, we can save, we could probably save $50,000 and not do this entire north-facing wall or something justified in their mind how to not do the whole building, because parts of it didn't get done.
It's in the specs, they have to do it, correct? They want to.
Well, that would have been written into the specs. That would have been the engineer. That
Oh,
would have been the town saying this is too much money, and the engineer going, well, we can cut this out because it's not a dire need right now, but these other walls are, and it's always like that. I'm experiencing it now with Public Works. We have a rough design on a building that we know suits the community for the next 25, 30 years. But it's a $28 to $30 million design, and that's too heavy of a lift for this community. Can't ask people to come up with that kind of money. So there are things we're gonna cut out of that. Are they things that we really, they were justifiable? Absolutely. Are they things that we'll live without? Yep, no choice.
Yeah.
Just the way it is.
I think Paul Flaherty said it in a meeting once, he said this just, we won't want to what we need. And I think we're at a point where,
I think you may have said that.
probably said that, I've only heard him say it once. He probably said it many times, coming to think of it, really, Paul.
Okay, any other comments or questions about this hearing? Hearing none, I would take a motion to close the hearing for the town hall renovations. Or motion to do that.
So moved.
And second, any discussion? Hearing none, voice vote, Mike, aye, roll call vote, Chris,
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Brittany,
Aye.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
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 Hearing's closed. All right, thank you all. Okay. So the next thing we have to do is actually vote on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially up to 6 articles, although 2 we'll talk about have been kind of eliminated. But to make recommendations for the fall town meeting. Basically, town moderator will ask the CPC for a recommendation on each other articles that's funded, CPA funds. So I'd like to just go down the list. We've had hearings on all these, hearing on all the potential articles, for town hall renovation, we're talking on October 1st. So I'll just start with the list. The MUR's, the athletic fields project, which is proposed for $100,000 payment. First payment of probably 20 yearly payments to help fund that project. Is there any discussion on whether or not we should recommend that article?
I just have two questions. One is that this is coming out of the undesignated pool, correct? Not parks, not
Well,
open space.
that's a good question. I had a draft balance sheet here. I did pull it out of open space and rec. But that's, the committee can discuss that, how they would like to
Does it make a difference?
handle that.
to you?
I think right now it doesn't. For rec type pieces, we've kind of shelved like trash things. So
Then Kiwanis,
maybe the only thing would end up being a next year, like a spring piece, if we're going in front doing dugout repair stuff.
We need to.
I know. Right, but I think we were targeting the spring for that, not the fall one. So
how much is in the designated pool for rec and
Right now, I believe, unless there's an update more than that, but I have a 408,000 is in open space rec.
Yeah.
And then projecting another 90,000 I'll be put into this coming fiscal year, this fiscal year.
by standard breakdown, yeah.
and this is there'll be a new motion every year?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the way it's set up.
So we could change it the next year or the following year, should something else be coming.
And this is contingent upon, Mendon is already,
I'm told Mendon by Jay Byer, the school district that Mendon is already,
okay,
put their undertaking in for this year. And what will happen is the town of Upton will keep this in an account until the school district comes and says, you have a bond payment. Please transfer it for their bond payment. I don't know what their schedule is for the field project, when they're gonna be breaking ground or. So it could be a while before the 100K is actually drawn. So any further discussion? If not, could there be a motion to recommend this MURD Fields athletic project article to town meeting?
I move to recommend the expenditure of $100,000 for the school district athletic fields and walking track, correct, yeah, and to come out of the CPC recreation open space account.
Second,
I'll second that.
seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, here we now the roll call vote. Mike, aye. Chris,
Chris, I.
Brittany,
Brittany, I.
I waited to stop the body.
Chris,
Aye.
Rick.
Aye.
John. Aye. Yeah, okay, that's unanimous, so thank you. The next one up is First Cemetery. That one, I should have mentioned, that one was approved by the selectmen as well as the Fields project. Last night, I should have mentioned, last night, the selectmen basically approved the final warrant for the November 10th meeting.
And that was for what, 17,000?
This one is 125,000.
Yeah, it's the 125,000. Okay.
And if you recall, it's a whole bunch of different things. Carrying, stone, tree removal, landscaping, a gate, some.
Yeah.
You know, interpretive displays. They had a cost estimate that they provided, no problems with select board on this one.
Wasn't there
This-
another cemetery we talked about,
So-
like,
So this is the one that Ed presented.
It's just this one that.
behind Grove Street is one, near paintball?
Correct.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
I thought there was also the one on North Street. I thought we discussed that. Well,
I don't think North Street's come up.
So, it wasn't purpose. And this is the one that the historical commission,
No.
the historical commission is
Yeah.
is the problem in this.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, is there a motion to recommend this for town meeting? How's the recommendation?
So I'll make a motion for authorization of the $125,000 to the First Cemetery project to come out of the CPA Historical Fund.
For a second,
Second.
any discussion? Roll call vote, my side, Chris,
Chris, I.
Brittany,
Brittany, I.
Catherine,
Bye.
Chris.
Aye.
Aye.
Carol.
Aye.
All right, thank you, so that, okay. Next on the list is the Lakeview Maplewood and Pine Grove Cemetery Restoration. That one, there was some discussion at the select board meeting, and the select board decided not to include this one on the warrant. And that was, basically, we're kind of lacking. They have a pretty good description of what they want to do, but we're really lacking, some cost proposals from any vendors. And I think the thought is that they're gonna come back at the annual town meeting next year, hopefully with some cost proposals or firm cost estimates. Their range was like $200,000 to $400,000. And there wasn't really much backing that up. They had some idea how they got that number, but it wasn't particularly very strong argument. I don't think. So question is, we could vote on this, or we could just pass it over. It's not gonna be on the town meeting, November town meeting warrant. So I would suggest we just pass over it.
Through the chair, can I add just a little more? If you recall, there was some, I think Ed brought it up, that he felt as though there was some other funding. So Bill Taylor did some research on this and reached out to Kenny. I asked him to work with Alfred to see if they could discover what we were talking about. And there's $117,000 and of interest from the perpetual care account that can be expended towards what they're looking to do. My recommendation to Alfred today was that we get together and have a meeting and form a plan. And perhaps you take a small section of that 50,000 or so and do a section of it in a project. See how it comes out, see how people respond to it, and be able to show your work as you go to the next step. At some point, you will run out of funds that you can utilize for that. And that would probably be the appropriate time to seek other resources such as CPC. And he agreed.
That sounds like a good plan, and also
Okay.
you'd have, real world, experience of how much it costs.
I think someone brought that up at the hearing, was the existence of the perpetual care fund and its application. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no objection, we'll just pass over this and not vote.
Is that, so do we make a formal motion to pass over?
We could, I have experience with an article like this. So,
Yeah, I didn't know whether or not we say
I mean, that's
We're
not
gonna-
on the
we're
warrant.
gonna pass over. Yeah, but for this meeting, because it was a documented item that we're just gonna pass over. I'm not 100% sure either. If that's
I
a,
think it's up to us, so.
if that's a voting
Yeah.
thing. If we all agree,
Yeah, I think if it's not on the warrant, then we're not can't recommend that it be,
yeah,
because it's
reinstituted,
warrant.
yeah.
So I would say that we just
table.
Table, yeah,
Table.
table.
Okay, that's table.
Good word.
Okay, next is, Howard Glen Trail Bridge improvement. And that is, the ask there is $17,000 from the open space and rec.
So, the one question that I have, right, because the warrant article says 22.
I don't know if that got modified or not, but I did mention that the select board meeting last night.
Okay.
That, the number was 17 because the conservation commission agreed to take in 5.
We can change that. on the
Okay.
floor.
Okay, so the total piece was 22,
That's what's in the article.
but the,
It's in there, okay.
right. But so the whole project is 22, but it wasn't, the 5K from open space wasn't deducted. That's, okay,
And there's a chance that we're gonna try to see if we can get some private funding, like say from Bay State.
sure.
So it might come down a little.
But that's not guaranteed, so hence here's the rest of the funds that's needed. Okay,
The rest of the story.
so is that, Dennis, is that printed?
It is.
Okay,
I haven't had the official one printed for signature. That'll be done Friday.
okay.
But the one that was voted on last night, I have, yes,
And was that at 22 or 17?
22.
But it says or any other amendment.
Right,
Yeah.
so you always have
So
the
the
motion
motion,
of the law.
motion.
Yeah,
You just
exactly.
can't change it.
Yes, exactly.
And if you want, and usually we say an article comes out and it describes the basics and of the merit of the article, including the financial amount. And then, but the motion is always specific to exactly how much money and where it's coming from.
Right. Understood.
Any further discussion on this? Someone like to make a motion?
Actually, can I ask one more question for the motion? When does that work on that anticipated
I
stuff?
think it would probably happen, very soon, possibly, probably not this fall, but, winter or spring, depending on the weather.
But it's probably in
This current fiscal year.
2026.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And it probably would take about 2 days to work. We're gonna have to get some volunteers together to help out. But the last time they did stuff like this, it was a 1-day project. So it'll be a little bit more involved because there's gonna be some rallies and stuff. So 2 days.
Yeah, that just made me go back and think, I'm gonna ask my standard question, and Mike probably knows exactly where I'm gonna go, is do we put a time limit on the motions that we're making?
There is a time limit through the chair, there is a time limit in the description of the article, 2 years.
Point on that, on this particular one, yeah.
I tried to add the draft articles that were submitted in time for the warrant. I think all of them I could add the time. I think I did add a time. I'm praying for them.
Yeah, okay.
For us, I was conscious of that.
So within
I
2
think it's
years, yeah.
like a 2 years.
Okay,
It's anticipated to be completed, so I don't think your feet will be held to the fire if you go 2 years and 2 days over.
well, no, Kenny does have an issue with that.
Does he really?
There's a problem.
What if I have?
Yeah, it's, we,
Then they've done that, got my hand slapped for it, yes.
Saying that something is anticipated is different than saying something.
if it's in the motion, if it's in the warrant, the actual motion, then you have to live by it.
Right.
And if after 2 years, it can't be used.
So through the chair, can I ask a question? Why would you limit yourself by putting that in the motion then? When it makes sense not to, in case something unforeseen came up that made it so it was 2 years and 2 days?
Well, speak, but I think my concern would be, that, if you have something obligated off of our potential funds, you sit there for years.
You don't want to track it longer than you have to.
Correct.
I mean, yeah, I get it. It's the same reason why Kenny's on us every single year about cleaning up all our outstanding articles, is because he gets sick of transferring them from one year to the
No
next,
doubt.
plus the new ones.
Yeah.
It's just more work to do.
And last year or earlier this spring, we closed Baker's dozen of them.
Understood.
So,
And through the chair, another example, a number of years ago with the Affordable Housing Trust, there was money appropriated in 2013 by a board that doesn't exist anymore. Out of the, and it just sat, I think it was 2000, because it was CPC, and I don't even think CPC was around then, but it was a long time ago, and it just sat there until about 2 years ago. And so, the board that, there was no Affordable Trust then, it was and it sat there, it was like a couple $100,000.
Wow,
So we just, that's money.
why can't I find that one?
yeah.
Okay, any further discussions? In a motion? Howard's on.
Make a motion to support the Howard Glen project.
Their second, Chris,
I'll second.
second by Hackton. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote, Mike, aye. Chris?
Chris, I.
Brittany, I.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, okay, and then, Holy Angels Church rehabilitation. I think most of you probably have heard, the select board declined to put that on the warrant.
Yeah.
So,
Through the chair person, may I say something? I did some research on funding, and I did find at one site I will forward to everyone. And this is from Jim McGovern in fiscal year 2025 community project funding request, and he lists funding from projects that are within the town. And I'm sure that often we also have that possibility. And one of them is to rehabilitate a art center. And all these are within the $1 million range, 1 to 3 million. So I think that in the future, that might be useful for the Holy Angels.
grants, there are grants out there. I don't, Dennis, do you have any feeling for, is this dead or is
It's at this meeting.
for this meeting, but not, maybe not for,
I got a funny feeling it's coming back.
Good. And the one thing to the sheriff was that if, I believe it's 10 people sign a petition, it can go on a warrant article at some point.
for an annual,
So I'll forward the information to you guys. There is money out there.
I mean, it was my understanding from talking to folks early on that, what just to stabilize the building. So the 140 Arts group could look at funding opportunities and really come up with a plan. But that wasn't feasible because you can't just stabilize a building without all sorts of.
All because of the
engineering.
approach that we took.
Yeah,
We took an approach that basically the Board of Selectmen charged criteria.
Yeah.
With hitting certain criteria.
Yeah.
They basically said, come back to us and meet these thresholds.
Yeah.
And that's what Criterion did.
Yeah.
And they said to meet these thresholds, you're making a white box, is what they call it. So you've got a new roof and you've got new siding and we're replacing all the rot. You're bringing it up to today's code. You're putting a vapor barrier on the outside, which it doesn't have. You're putting snow and ice shielding and all of the fascia work for the roof that it currently doesn't have. Restructuring the first floor so it will hold assembly. Restructuring the roof so that it meets today's snow code loads. And then you want to have rough electricity, rough plumbing, rough insulation, and rough HVAC, so that you can maintain the HVAC. Say why? Because if you don't, the building's hot and cold, summer and spring and fall, you're going to pull moisture into that building whether you believe it or not. And you're gonna go back to the same problem slower because you've taken other steps and you have, you've got some protection you added there. So
But it was
that,
also my understanding that the 650 would fund engineering, it wouldn't stabilize the building. And it wouldn't start until next spring anyway, because you have to get the engineer, the OPM, public bidding, so it's not just what needs to be done, it's that, and the approach taken is just that this is a public bid process. You have all these, I don't say not soft costs, but they're pre-costs, and this is just to take it to 25% design.
through the chair, if I may, a good point that Kenny brought up last night that I don't think anybody had, I know I certainly haven't talked about it before. But I have my procurement certification, so I understand what he was getting at. There's a fine line between bid splitting, phasing a project out, but following all of the responsibilities that 149.7C lays out. So it's bid splitting if you do it in phases and you don't follow the OPM designer selection, which you're required to do. But if you follow OPM and designer selection, and then you phase out the work over the course of 3 years, that is not bid splitting.
Okay,
Something that I hadn't thought about until he raised the question last night.
okay.
I said, ooh, I remember that in one of the classes. It was a sneaky, it's always great when the teacher teaches you how to get around some of their own rules.
Yeah.
So that is a potential. I get the impression from the board that I don't think any of them wanted to not do anything with the building. I think that the people that voted against it just want to put more work into positive direction with more research done, more answers and less questions.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what I think. Wrong. I've been wrong once, but once.
And the winter just try to apply for grants.
That was our goal. We were going to go for grants if this was going to go forward. I know Mike Antonellis was gearing up for it. He had already started researching the potentials out there and their timeframes.
And you can't unless you, I mean, the town has control of the building.
Yeah.
And so you can't get grants unless you do an upgrade first.
Very few grants give you something for nothing. A lot of them are matching grants, but even the ones that aren't matching grants, for instance, the $4 million we got for doing water and sewer, we had to do the engineering.
Yeah.
You know, if we didn't do the engineering, they weren't gonna buy in for, the town has to show them a good faith effort that, look, we're not asking you for everything. We're willing to do some of this.
We'd be happy. I
Did
mean,
you probably have
Yeah.
the study that was done?
We do,
So
we do, but
it's
I
not like we don't have anything to present to.
that's the type of
Grant
thing that,
application.
maybe with the grant work that's done. I mean, I think that the CPC, at least speaking for me, I can't speak for the CPC, that was sort of, if we were leveraging other funding to get, 650 was a big nut, especially in this economy with all the conflicting needs, but, if we could fund something and
Yeah.
then funding the other parts of it.
Right.
That would have been a different,
Knowing that it's 10x the cost of
Yeah.
that 650.
yeah.
It's always tough too, when you are basing your costs analysis off of, and I'm not speaking ill of Criterion, but they're not engineers. That's not what they don't design buildings for a living.
Yeah, they were very clear on that,
Yes.
to their credit.
So-
They basically said, they didn't include a lot of things either.
So here's the sad part that people don't like to talk about, that you hire an OPM and a design engineer, they come in. First thing that design engineer is gonna do is go in and do his own testing to confirm those. Otherwise, Criterion would have to be responsible for those findings. But if you wanna hold the design engineer responsible
Yeah.
because something unanticipated happened that put the town in a liable state, you wanna make sure that they do their own certifications on everything. So.
Yeah.
Well, there's no objection, I guess we just table this one as we did the cemetery project. And, speak for myself, I hope you have a chance to discuss this and market yourself.
The
Advance of
chairperson,
your town meeting.
the chairperson, is this something that a committee can be formed to study the project? Because I think the town's done that before, with larger projects.
Some big people.
Maybe,
Get a,
No, but there's the,
like a task force.
yeah, I mean, there's the DPW
building,
building committee now, perhaps. There should be a group. I like Chris, I like a group that can, focus on bringing this project.
your board is the key to the selectmen.
Right, yeah. Ask them. If, that keep this thing moving along as much as possible. All right. So the last one is the town hall renovation project, was just presented by Dennis a while ago. So I think right now, what was it, 270?
I thought he said 275, Mr. Chairman. Don't hold me to it.
Let's go.
That rings a bell.
So basically, the proposal is to bond 3.8 million.
3,395,000.
To bond that amount, I believe Kenny's estimate was 20 years. It would be about $275,000 a year taken out of. It would have to be undesignated because there's not enough funding available at the store. So designated.
I'll make the motion. And that would be, and that too would come back every year.
Right. It would be like
I would vote,
the town hall bond, vote on it every year.
I would vote, to. Did Chris say?
Well,
As a second. I second that.
For a second.
Oh, okay. Motion, okay. You know what the motion was, okay.
Any discussion? Vote on it. Okay, the only thing I would add is, would like, Dennis, if you could provide us at some point, the final word on, if any of this work is maintenance.
Absolutely. So when I get the response from NTC, I will share it. And you can share it with everybody.
But at the moment, we're assuming the entire cost is eligible for CPA.
We're assuming cost of debt service.
Okay. No further discussion. Roll call vote. Mike, aye.
Chris,
Brittany, I.
Kathy, aye.
Aye.
Chris. John.
Aye.
Rick.
Aye.
Okay, so unanimous vote. Okay. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is any unanticipated topics. Hearing none, the final agenda is schedule the next meeting. I suggest that we don't meet in November. And we consider meeting the first Wednesday in December. How's that sound?
Is that, because we have the special meeting next night, correct? Yeah.
If there's any,
We worked so hard in October.
that's right.
We had two here in October, yes, so we don't need one in November.
So, is that all right with everybody? We do for the next meeting will be on December, whatever the day is, on first Wednesday.
It's a third.
Third. Okay.
Oh,
Motion to adjourn.
I told you I was gonna. I tried, I really tried.
This makes no second.
It's been a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm gonna take you something. I'm
No.
not gonna get away with this for free.
There's
Town meeting is getting shorter and shorter. We had 14 articles. 2 came off last night. I think the property for 12G and Zero Milford. So we received appraisals for that and we've reached out to the owners and shared that information with them. I don't think they're going to take it. So that's probably going to get passed over. We'll be down to 11. Well, the DPW is going to be, we're going to do,
DPW, okay, so that is on the warrant.
it is, we're gonna do an information session on the 29th at the community center at 7 p.m. That's what we're going to do, invite the public. And we're basically gonna do a dry run of town meeting presentation and talk
Hi,
about.
Dennis, up here. Dennis,
Yes,
I was kind of curious. There's supposed to be a West Upton visioning the same night.
yeah, they're moving to this building,
The DPW or the visioning?
the visioning.
I'll
It's
look for that
only- They're
email.
anticipating a group of 15 to 20, so they're gonna move to town hall.
Gotcha. I'll look for the email.
Is it best to have those both on the same night?
Yeah.
Is that, well, I mean, because you're having, 15 to 20 people who are obviously vested because they're doing visioning. And it seems that what is gonna, what time is the visioning session?
Same time, 7. Well, it was supposed to be 7 o'clock at the community center.
It makes sense in a way to start, have the meetings at different nights. There just aren't that many super engaged people in town and.
We picked that night because there's a lot of moving parts and we have the building committee, then we have the
Yeah.
working, we have Vertex, we have people from Weston and Sampson.
Oh,
You know, we had to
Yeah.
coordinate with a lot of different
Okay.
people
so
to make
you-
this work.
yeah,
So
okay.
that was why the date was picked.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do it before town meeting. So that's
Mhm.
why. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.